mistresses, mignons, concubines, oh, the delightful euphemisms for royal side pieces. Now, when we left off, we saw how some of the luckiest royal mistresses gracefully navigated their twilight years, collecting pensions and praying for quiet corners of Versailles. But other royal mistresses had a different kind of swan song. They didn't fade away quietly. They kicked, clawed, and schemed to hold on to the only life they'd ever known. And in doing so, they gave us some pretty juicy historical tales. Think Romeo and Juliet crossed with palace intrigue and seasoned with just a dash of blackmail. Buckle up, dear viewers. Things are about to get messy. Let's travel to 17th century Austria, where we'll meet the Habsburgs, Ferdinand III and his long-suffering wife, Maria Anna, for a couple who shared a last name. They sure had a complicated relationship. The marriage was childless and allegedly loveless. Not that it stopped Ferdinand from searching elsewhere for romantic fulfillment. Enter Leonore von der Schulenburg, a German noblewoman who caught the eye of the lonely monarch. For a while it was a blissful affair. Eleanor gave birth to 3 children legitimized by the emperor. Living in a lavish Viennese palace, she was all set. That is until the king got bored, or perhaps more accurately, the king's mother, the formidable Empress Eleonora, decided she'd had enough. Yep, in some families, the matriarch never lets go, so she kicked Eleanor out. But Eleanor wasn't your typical mistress, shocker. She'd spent 8 years at the court of Rudolph II, Holy Roman Emperor, before she got the royal boot, so she knew the lay of the land. Vienna was a small town, literally. Everyone knew everyone else's business, and rumors spread faster than gossip does today. Plus, Eleanor had friends in high places, namely the influential Count Johann Philipp von Lamberg, and what did they talk about when they weren't discussing interior design trends or the latest opera? Naturally, the intimate details of the emperor's love life. So when Eleanor was shown the door, she knew just how to retaliate. She began dropping hints, just little casual asides to her favorite courtiers about the emperor's rather impressive sex life. No names, no details, just suggestive comments that spread through Vienna like wildfire. Was she telling the truth? Who knows? But rumor has it that she even went to the Queen Mother, whispering sweet nothings about the Empress's son. And you know what they say about idle hands and curious ears. Soon the whole city was buzzing with Eleanor's spicy tidbits. If she had a dime for every tawdry tale that left her lips, she could have bought her own palace. Ferdinand tried to stamp out the rumors, offering Eleanor a generous settlement, but she wasn't budging. Even after his death in 1657, Eleanor kept up the gossip mill, spilling secrets about the new emperor, Leopold I. But after a decade of scandal, she finally went silent, possibly due to her advanced age or maybe because the gossip had run its course. Either way, this is one case where the mistress fought back, not with tears and pleas, but with knowing smiles and strategic whispers. And speaking of whispers, we're off to Imperial Russia for the story of Ekaterina Ivanova, aka Catherine the Little, a name that sounds cute until you realize it's a royal nickname. Ekaterina was the mistress of Peter the Great, a man whose ego was larger than his bathtub, and those of us who can't fit in normal bathtubs know that's huge. This steamy affair produced 2 children, Alexei and Anna, who were legitimized and given titles, securing their future. But when the inevitable happened and Peter grew bored, he shipped both women off to a village outside St. Petersburg. It might sound idyllic, except for 2. It was far from the action and had a reputation for being dreary. But fear not, each received a princely pension, ensuring a comfortable life without the drama of the royal court. Yet Ekaterina couldn't resist a little palace intrigue. While in exile, she started spreading rumors that Peter was impotent. Oh, the irony of accusing someone of sexual inadequacy when you trying to secure your legacy through extramarital affairs. But then again, if anyone could pull that off, it's Katerina. Meanwhile, Peter married a Russian princess, leaving Ekaterina in the dust. However, his new bride couldn't produce an heir, leading Peter to seek out his old flame. He asked Katerina to move back to the capital, promising her a noble title and the return of her luxurious lifestyle. Katerina played hardball, refusing unless he acknowledged her and the children's legitimacy. Peter reluctantly agreed, giving her the title of Viscountess. Eventually, his new wife accepted the situation, and Peter's original mistress became a fixture at court. Talk about a happy ending, or maybe just the best you can hope for when you're tangled up with a Russian Tsar. Now, in a different era and a different corner of Europe, we meet Isabella Andreini, an Italian actress who captured the heart of Cosimo I de' Medici, Grand Duke of Florence. Born in 1529, Andreini rose to fame for her comedic roles in Italian plays. and it was this comedic timing that impressed the Grand Duke. The pair engaged in a discreet affair until Isabella bore him a son, at which point the Grand Duke, bless his cautious heart, decided discretion was no longer necessary. He proudly paraded his mistress and their child around Florence like they were the latest fashion accessory, and why not? The city was known for its opulent style and support of the arts. So what if your side piece was also a renowned actress? Society, I guess. Anyway, they lived openly together, even as Isabella continued performing, probably causing many onlookers to wonder whether they should applaud or throw rotten vegetables. Eventually, the Duke's wife, the infamous Eleonora of Toledo, got wind of the situation. Rumors swirled that she confronted Isabella on stage, adding a dramatic twist to the poor woman's career. Whether the confrontation was real or fabricated for publicity, it certainly added fuel to Isabella's legend. As for the Duke, he doted on his mistress and her son until his death in 1574. Isabella outlived him, enjoying her fortune and continuing to perform, though her son tragically passed away early, likely due to his father's lack of proper paternal care. Still, she had a cushy retirement, proving that sometimes the life of a mistress was not so bad, especially if you were an acclaimed actress with a wealthy admirer. Wrapping up our whirlwind tour of royal romps, we'll stop by 18th century Saxony for the tale of Louise de la Vallière. She entered the life of Augustus the Strong as a simple seamstress, but quickly rose to become his mistress and a powerful force in the court. Unlike many mistresses who came from noble lines, Louise had no silver spoon. Her rise to prominence was nothing short of Cinderella, except with more backstabbing and zero glass slippers. Now, the king wasn't a stranger to affairs. He had 2 legitimate wives and numerous mistresses before he met Louise. But with her, it was different. Louise bore the king for children and, unlike other mistresses, wasn't sent packing when the king grew bored. She remained his favorite for almost 20 years, even after he married a Polish princess. Talk about commitment. Then in 1733, tragedy struck. During childbirth, Louise suffered a horrific accident. The king, devastated, took her under his personal care, further cementing their bond. Even when the king's health failed and he faced death, Louise was by his side. Yet upon his passing, she was unceremoniously dumped, shoved into a corner apartment in Dresden Palace. Talk about a royal flush. But here's the kicker. Despite her demotion, she was still richer than most, and her apartments were spacious by anyone's standards. So who really got shafted here? The moral of the story: don't count your chickens before they're hatched. Or in this case, don't move into the palace annex just yet. Remember, you're in a royal harem, not a housing corp. So from the hushed whispers of Vienna,